started.
Hello and welcome. I'm Asuma Katauka and you're watching the World Report on NewsX World. Let's take a look at the top headlines of this hour. Japan's Prime Minister Sanai Takaichi has secured a decisive snap election victory, with her LDP alliance taking 352 of 465 seats. She now faces challenges in debt, inflation, and defense policies. Meanwhile, US President Donald Trump congratulated Japanese Prime Minister Sanai Takaichi after her coalition's projected victory in snap elections. Writing on Truth Social, Trump has praised the result as a landslide victory and wished her success in advancing. Hong Kong court sentenced pro-democracy media tycoon Jimmy Lai to 20 years in prison for foreign inclusion and sedition. Rights groups say the ruling marks another blow to Hong Kong's freedoms. Thailand's Conservative Prime Minister Anutin Charnvirakul has declared victory after TV projections showed his party winning the most parliamentary seats by a wide margin. Anutin said the result belonged to all Thais regardless of how they voted. China and the Philippines have engaged in a war of words over the disputed South China Sea, leading to calls in Manila to declare Chinese Ambassador Jing Kuang persona non grata. But President Ferdinando Marcos Jr. has rejected those calls. A breakdown in dialogue spurred the first talks in over a year on January 29 in Cebu, according to publicized reports. The U.S. envoy to Syria, Tom Barak, held a phone call with Kurdistan Democratic Party President Masoud Barzani to discuss Syria and regional politics, with both sides stressing the need to prevent escalation and work towards lasting stability. This is seen as a key step towards Syria's unity and restoring state authority. Syria's Foreign Minister Assad Hassan al-Shaibani and Intelligence Chief Hussein al-Salama are in Riyadh to participate in talks at the Global Coalition to Defeat ISIS. They were hosted by Saudi Deputy Foreign Minister Walid bin Abdul Karim al-Khuraiji, marking a high-level security meeting hosted by Saudi Arabia. SpaceX crew 12 astronauts has reached Cape Canaveral ahead of their ISS launch, calling the mission very real and a symbol of international cooperation. Now we start with U.S. Ghislaine Maxwell, convicted in 2021 for aiding Jeffrey Epstein's sexual abuse of teenage girls, plans to refuse answering questions at a House Oversight Committee deposition. According to a letter from Congressman Ro Khanna, Maxwell will invoke her Fifth Amendment right against self-incrimination and decline all substantive questions. She will instead read a prepared statement at the start of the session. Khanna noted this differs from Maxwell's prior meetings with the Justice Department, where she did not use the Fifth Amendment on similar topics. The deposition comes as the U.S. Department of Justice releases millions of internal documents related to Epstein, adding further scrutiny to the case. Now we welcome Ms. Lieutenant Colonel Himanshi Singh. She is a retired defense and international relations analyst, joins us live from New Delhi. Thank you very much, Lieutenant Colonel Singh, for joining us again. Good to see you. Now, looking at this, why do you think this sudden shift in Ghislaine Maxwell's stance, and what will be the effects of this?
Good morning, Asuma. See, it's a case where she knows how deep she is into, and she's already serving almost 20 years long prison. So when she exercises her right, she's actually now, legally very well read, and she understands what implications it has. It is not about the closure, it is about the exposure. So, now the US House Oversight Committee is reviewing all newly released, highly sensitive Epstein file, and it is actually conducting the closed-door depositions to determine who was involved and who was protected. So I think she very well knows who all were there because she has been a close associate with Maxwell. And she's when we are expecting her to invoke her Fifth Amendment right, the lawmakers, they know already that she has been convicted and without immunity. The deposition is a political theater. While members of the Congress include Representative Ro Khanna call her stance inconsistent, noting that previously she had answered all the questions during the Department of Justice meeting without taking the fifth. But this silence comes amid a massive DOJ release over 3 million pages, including thousands of videos and images. For the first time now, selected members of Congress are being granted access to the files. So earlier it was not there. A lot of things were vague, but now since they have a direct access, perhaps she understands that it has become very, very serious as of now. So that is why, see, names are so big. Hillary Clinton, Bill Clinton, Trump, even Elon Musk and Bill Gates. So everybody is under this scrutiny and scanner. So I think she understands the implications well. And that is why she's now exercising her right to stay silent.
Right.
Asuma.
Thank you very much for sharing that. And so how do you think, it will further stop the justice that a lot of victims are seeking for? Lieutenant?
See, she understands that justice will not stop because a lot of substantial evidence is already there. The silence is deliberate, but the investigation is already accelerating. There are names which are highlighted, and people know how serious it is with those videos, the pictures, and the way Jeffrey Epstein has collected and kept those documented. So the evidence is more than enough. It is just a mere, kind of procedural thing which is happening, and overlaying this, she understands it's now become a circus. It is a complete circus now because political parties and human rights people and these victims who are coming, it is going to be murkier. So perhaps she's choosing silence as she's already testified before the Department of Justice. So I think with holding critical information with her, I don't think it is going to be any use. The scale of documentation is a huge dump which can be used against her also. So perhaps it's about exposure which is already coming, and people will testify against her. So her keeping quiet or coming out without immunity does not matter. She will, as it is, not be granted any immunity. Jeffrey Epstein is dead and gone, but the names involved and the way he died, the way he died in jail, she perhaps is worried about her own life at the moment. So that is why she's choosing silence. Asuma.
With that, I'd like to thank Lieutenant Colonel Himanshi Singh for sharing that insight from New Delhi. Thank you very much. Now we move on to Japan. World leaders have congratulated Japanese new Prime Minister Sanai Takaichi following her landmark election victory in the House of Representatives. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi has highlighted the special strategic and global partnership between India and Japan, emphasizing its role in global peace, stability, and prosperity. Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney has praised Takaichi and noted growing cooperation in trade, energy, AI, defense, and critical minerals between the two nations. Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni has also congratulated Takaichi, stressing the strong friendship and strategic partnership between Italy and Japan. Leaders have expressed confidence that under Takaichi's leadership, international cooperation and bilateral relations will continue to strengthen. Meanwhile, Japanese citizens are also reacting to Prime Minister Sanai Takaichi's election victory, which gave her ruling party a 2/3 majority in the lower house. Let's in fact listen in to some of the Japanese citizens.
不安の方が大きいです。理由としてはやはり自民党が力が大きいところ、メリットもあるんですけれども、やはり中国とかアメリカ、特に中国とか周りの国とどう付き合っていくのかっていうのが今後ちょっとビジネスの方でもちょっと心配のところはあります。はい。
高市さんは 個人的には好きです。個人的には好きだけど、結局高市さんのやりたいことをやるには足を引っ張る人が多かったりとか、あとは何でしょうね、他の圧力団体だのいっぱいいるので、その辺をどう対処して自分のやりたいことを進めていけるのかなっていうのを考えると、すごく、大変じゃないかなって思いますね。
まだ自民党独走っていうのは僕は正直言ってあんまり好きじゃないし、今は減税って言ってるけど、多分ちょっとしばらくしたらまた増税に変わるだろうし、例えば議員の定数削減って言ったって全然手つけてないし、まあ言ったことはコロコロ変わるのが自由民主党だから、あんまり僕はだから一党独裁っていう形が好きではない。
Now we move on to Iran. Iran's top diplomat says the country's strength lies in its ability to say no to the great powers amid ongoing nuclear talks with the United States and nationwide protests. Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi has emphasized that Iran will continue uranium enrichment, calling it a symbol of national power, while insisting Tehran is not pursuing an atomic bomb. President Masoud Pezeshkian has described the recent talks in Oman as a step forward, but highlighted that Iran responds to respect, not force. The U.S. has deployed the aircraft carrier USS Abraham Lincoln and other military assets to the region, signaling readiness for potential strikes. Negotiations have not confirmed when or where a second round of Iran-U.S. talks will take place, keeping the outcome uncertain. Now for this, we welcome Mr. Lev Aharon. He's a Middle East commentator, joins us live from Karnataka. Thank you very much, Mr. Lev, for joining us. Welcome to NewsX World. Now, Iran has said that, they have said that it's saying no to the great powers is their power. Is it really? What is your take?
I think the main gap right now at least, between Iran and Israel is that as far as Iran is concerned, there is only one issue, the nuclear capabilities of Iran. And as far as Israel is concerned, we have three issues. We have the nuclear issue, we have the missile issue. Israel demands that no more than 300 kilometer capacities will be within Iran. And the proxy issue, we know that Iran also helped Hezbollah, Hamas, and other groups. So this is like the main gap, and this is mainly the reason why we are still afraid that a war between Iran and Israel, between America and Israel, is still it could happen.
Right. So how do you analyze the current capacity of Iran in case U.S. does attack? And how do you analyze the capacity of Israel? Can they protect themselves? As we know, last year, in the 12-day war, we saw some missiles did penetrate into Iron Dome.
In the 12 days war, Iran was humiliated because the S-300, S-400, they could not harm even a single American or Israeli jet. So the fact that Iran was humiliated also caused what we see today, or what at least we saw 1 month ago in Iranian streets in Tehran and in other cities in Iran. So the fact that Iran still believes that America might start a war brings it to the negotiation table. So it could be in Turkey, it could be in Oman, it doesn't matter. What matters is that as far as Iranians will believe that Americans will start a war, serious negotiations will be there. If they believe that Americans will go back, to America and they only try to threaten without, not really seriously, then Iran will go back to the normalcy. It means proxy war all over the Middle East.
Right. So what do you think? What can come next? What are right now it feels like amid heightened tensions, it feels like it's so hazy. We don't exactly know if Iran has said positive things, or it seems like they are positive about the talks that were held without, of course, any breakthrough. But U.S. seems like it's not. So what comes next?
after the 12 days war and also after Venezuela, Iranians know that Americans are serious, that Trump is serious with his war threats. So I do believe that even if the language is very tough from the Iranian side right now, still Iran wants to go to the negotiation table and to avoid the war. The one thing Iran doesn't want is a war against America and Israel, and therefore I am quite optimistic that some negotiations will start, and maybe they will be even successful. Not all the things Iranians and Americans can say openly, but we see that Iranians talk tough, but still they want to negotiate. They do not want to fight America at this point.
Thank you very much, Mr. Aron, for sharing that insight. Please stay with us. Now we move on to Israel. Israeli President Isaac Herzog has arrived in Sydney as part of a multi-city trip aimed at expressing solidarity with Australia's Jewish community. Herzog's visit comes after an invitation from Australian Prime Minister Anthony Albanese in the wake of the December 14th attack at Bondi Beach that took place last year and left 15 people dead. Herzog began his visit at Bondi Beach, where he laid a wreath at a memorial for the victims. He has also reportedly met with survivors and the families of those killed, offering words of condolences. Let's listen into some of his comments.
Beach, beloved by the Australian people and symbolic of all that's great about this beautiful nation, became the scene of the deadliest terror attack in Australia's history. 15 innocent souls who gathered to celebrate Hanukkah, the festival of light, were massacred in cold blood by two Islamic.
Despite the somber visit, Herzog's presence has sparked controversy. Some Australians accuse him of being complicit in civilian deaths in Gaza, with protests planned across Australia. Let's also listen to how a family member of the victim of Bondi Beach shooting has reacted to his visit.
It's a painful time, and we had someone come and console us. That's what this was. If you need to protest that, then sorry you had to do that, but that's not what's happening here. This is not a political thing. This is not a thing about solidarity. Yeah, this is victims of a terrorist attack, and someone should come in to support us. The first world leader who came to support.
Karnataka. Thank you very much, Mr. Lev, for staying with us. What more can you tell us about, the recent visit, and also how do you analyze the Australia's? Do you think they have done enough for Bondi Beach attack, and also for the fact that these kind of things shouldn't happen again?
I don't think there is a single decent Australian person who thinks that Australia did enough. When we see global intifada as some kind of a peaceful mean of getting a two-state solution between Israel and Palestine, we lie to ourselves, because global intifada is exactly what we saw in Australia, that it is legitimate to take Jews when they celebrate Hanukkah, which is like our Diwali, and simply kill them because they are Jews. So in Australia it became crystal clear that once you see global intifada as something peaceful, at the end of the day, you will see Jews who are murdered during their celebrations of Hanukkah.
So what do you think, like we saw a lot of things take place even last year. There was anti-Semitism attacks in other cities, and even after raising alarms, Albanese did not change or did not hike up the security around those. Is that changed now? Is that different now?
I think it is different in one concept only, that you will see more more security officers in Jewish places. So if they celebrate Purim, which is like our Holi, in 2 weeks from now, you will see a lot of people in uniform to protect the Jews. But you cannot have 1 lakh soldiers around each and every Jew who wants to celebrate the religious holidays of the Judaism. So in this sense, maybe we won by in the way that Jews are much more protected. Many more soldiers and police people are around the Jews. But we did not win the ideological battle. That means that Judophobia and anti-Semitism is something that nobody is ready to accept. And as long as global intifada is part of legitimate discourse in Europe and in Australia, we will see more terror attacks, because even if you bring many soldiers and police people and security guards to all the Jewish festivals, the motivation to kill Jews is still there.
And how is the Australian government balancing solidarity with Jewish community against growing anti-Semitism and also the growing public criticism of Israel's acts in Gaza?
Public criticism is okay. It is okay for Australian or Israeli or Indian to think that what Israel does in Gaza is incorrect, and to think that a ceasefire should have been long time ago, not wait 2 years from the war. This is a legitimate say, and some people support the Israeli war in Gaza, some did not support. It is all part of the game, okay? Israel is like any other country, and you can condemn and scold Israel like any other country. The point is that when you promote global intifada, you promote terrorism. This is the thing that the Australian government did not understand, and this is why there was such a high motivation to murder Jews in last Hanukkah.
And by sending President Herzog to Australia, what is Israel's message that Israel is sending with him?
The main Israeli message is that, in a way, after the Gaza war, the world became a bit too enthusiastic with the Palestinian plight, and a lot of lies were told through the mass media and through X and TikTok and so on about the Israeli war in Gaza. I think the main message of Israel to the Jews of Australia and to the Australian public is that Israel cannot tolerate anti-Semitism, because Israel, in a way, was established because anti-Semitism in Western countries was so high. So I do hope that President Herzog visit to Australia will cause some kind of understanding within the current Australian government that even scolding Israel is okay. You do not have to agree with each and every step that Israel does, but saying that Israel has committed genocide and so on, at the end of the day, it brings and promotes terrorism against Jews.
With that, I would like to thank Mr. Lev Aron for joining us today and sharing that insight. Thank you very much. Now we move on to Middle East. Syrian diplomat Minister Al-Shaibani has arrived in Riyadh to attend a meeting of the International Coalition Against ISIS. The talks are expected to focus on regional security, counter-terrorism cooperation, and efforts to prevent the resurgence of the Islamic State group. Officials are also likely to discuss intelligence sharing and stabilization measures across the region. The meeting comes amid continuing security challenges and ongoing operations against ISIS remnants. More details are expected following the conclusion of the talks. Now we move on to Asia. A South Korean Army AH-1S Cobra attack helicopter has crashed today during a training flight in Gapyeong County, killing both crew members. The helicopter went down shortly after 11 a.m. local time for reasons that remain unclear. The crew were evacuated to nearby hospitals but were later pronounced dead. The military has suspended operations of all AH-1S helicopters and established an emergency response team to investigate this crash. The training exercise involved practicing emergency landings without shutting down the engine, according to officials. Now we have a breaking news. US President Donald Trump has shared a post on his Truth Social, particularly an image where he is holding a high-stakes meeting with top European leaders. In the image that President Trump has posted, we see Italy's Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni, UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer, French President Emmanuel Macron, and President of the European Commission Ursula von der Leyen holding the talks, as well as Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky and Secretary General of NATO Mark Rutte could also be seen in the attendance. Now, sources say that image is actually an old picture, possibly of the meeting which was held last year in August on Ukraine peace negotiations. While President Trump suddenly posting this image could be indicative of some new updates that could be soon emerging on Ukraine peace talks, although nothing certain has been verified as such. That's all we have time for. Keep watching NewsX World for more news and updates from around the world.
What